issues with my audio or any network issues, please let me know immediately. So I'll try to work on that. So let us move forward. So what is the Ansible, right? So we'll try to look at what is Ansible today. Ansible is an open source. Even they have they have an enterprise edition as well. Okay, open source automation engine that automates your software provisioning, configuration management, and application deployments. All these things, like whatever you do with the chef or Puppet, all those things you can do with the Ansible as well. Ansible can manage any Unix or Linux machines platforms through SSH, right? So it can configure your servers, application deployments, orchestration, provisioning. If you want to start some servers in a AWS or a OpenStack, VMware, or in Docker, anywhere you can start the server. You can make sure that that installs any configurations and softwares, configure it, deployment any applications, everything you can do. If you look at core features of the Ansible, it supports even Unix, Linux, and Windows machines, even network devices as well. One of the major difference between any configuration management like Chef and Puppet with Ansible is it is agentless architecture. So yesterday we have seen if you want to install if you want to install on a Chef, if you want to work with a Chef, so what we did, we tried to install a client software, right? We tried to install a client software. So whereas in Ansible you don't require any agent. It is a agentless. It will work over the SSH. If you don't have an agent, see, the system administrator manages agent very easily, right? So basically the Chef and Puppet are written on a Ruby, whereas an Ansible written on a Python. So though it is written on a Python, you need not to be a master in Python. If you know that it is also follows a DSL language, kind of a domain specific language. We'll try to understand how to write very simple English language. You can use an OpenSSH or SSH to manage Unix or Linux machines, whereas Windows we use a WinRM for a communication with the Microsoft systems. That is Windows machines use a WinRM to remote connectivity basically. So like a lot of community people are actively working with the GitHub. Most of the code is available in a GitHub for your Ansible. So it is very easy to installation and configuration is very simple. Okay. Highly scalable, secure. Why? Because it is using SSH connectivity. Easy to understand and remember all the syntax. It is not no skills required actually. No any basic understanding of programming is good enough to work with Ansible. So let us move forward. So the key concepts we'll try to understand today, like what is Ansible modules, inventory, tasks, variables, and playbooks kind of thing. So the further playbooks are segregated in a roles. The roles also we'll discuss one by one. So general architecture of any Ansible is look like this. Generally, there will be a version control tool like Git or SVN. There will maintain all the code. From there, either you can pull or push the code. The code can be deployed into different environments. It may be web servers, database servers, or any kind of machines you can manage it. So this is the basic environment you could see in Ansible. So the major components of Ansible is Ansible modules. The Ansible modules are basically your Linux commands or any PowerShell commands or anything. Using these modules, we try to automate our infrastructure. So what are the modules, how to work with the modules, all those things will try to discuss today. When I say inventory, basically if you look at inventory guys in a Linux environment or Unix, Windows, wherever, the basic inventory file, the lookup file is etc hosts, right? It may be Unix or Windows, you could find some etc host file, right? Where you'll update your client and IP address details. So the primary, the lookup file is etc host, then it will try to look at DNS, am I right? So first it will look at your etc host file. If that is not found, then it will look at the DNS server. If you find that IP address or host name, then it will resolve. In the same way, in Ansible, if you want to, suppose let us say you have an you have an n number of machines you want to manage with. Okay, Ansible. Suppose somewhere around 100 machines are there you want to manage with Ansible. So what you could do, you can update in one file called etc Ansible hosts. If you update these nodes with etc Ansible host file, now Ansible can connect to those machines and try to manage them. Right? That is nothing what we call it as an inventory file. Right? So the first modules are nothing but your basic commands, whereas inventory is nothing but on which instances, on which servers you want to manage. You want to go and execute the modules. That is nothing but inventory file. Whatever you are executing, they call it as a tasks. Variables are nothing but, okay, if you want to call the variables any values, you can call it as variables. So we'll one by one we'll try to understand how to install. Installation is very straightforward. Okay, you can update your repository and you say yum install Ansible. That's it. Okay, or else if you want to install with pip, yum install python-pip, then install pip install Ansible. That's it. Only two commands you require to install an Ansible, right? Very straightforward, right? So let us go forward and install the two servers. Let us go and install that Ansible. Then we'll start working on it. Okay. So what I'll try to do before going to explain the further. So let me start two servers. Okay. So here I'm trying to say CD chef work something. Here I have multiple servers. Yeah, it is all master client architecture kind of thing. Yes, it is all master client architecture. I'll try to give you that scenario. Just let me start it. Now, vagrant app node 1, node 2. I'm trying to start multiple server here. So these two servers, I'll try to take it as one of the management server, one is the client. So basically, it is also a client server architecture. Why? Because it is using the SSH key connectivity. Right? If you look at this is Ansible host server, management server. From the management server, you are trying to manage n number of servers. These are all clients, right? These are all the clients. This is the management server. So let this start two servers. Okay. If you install Ansible, guys, we could see one of the main configuration file is etc Ansible. One of the important configuration file, the main configuration file is etc Ansible. There you could see two major configuration files. One is config.cfg, other one is host. Host is nothing but just we discussed, right? Whatever the servers you want to manage with Ansible, you can update that information in host file. Then okay, in a etc ansible.cfg file level, you can maintain all the config files. We'll try to look at all those things now. Okay. Now, as I told you, Ansible will work with over SSH, right? Okay, it will try to connect all the servers. It will connect all the servers over SSH, and it will try to manage. To connect any machine in a Linux or anywhere, you have, let us say you want to connect in a Linux machine. How many ways you can connect over SSH? Either you can use username and password, okay, or else over SSH. We try to connect with the AWS instance, right? Username and authentication PEM file, right? The PEM password authentication PEM file. Instead of using passwords, we used a PEM file. In Amazon or in SSL, in Ansible as well, how to maintain that communication between all the hosts, whatever you updated instances details here. Let us say you updated somewhere around hundreds of instances etc host file. How can I communicate to that particular instances? So for one time, you have to configure that communication, configure communication between Ansible and target host. So how to do that? We'll try to look at. We try to generate a key and we can copy it to the any machine you want to manage. Then it will be able to communicate without password to that particular server. Then you can manage it. Let me check if that's okay. The one server is started. Let me start one more server here. I don't know why it is getting stuck. Okay. Anyway. So let me start one more server. We'll try to take one as a Ansible management server, other one as a node. Let me connect one server. Okay, the node one I'm trying to connect. Okay. Okay, now I connected. If you look at, I'll try to maintain a white color background kind of thing for my Ansible management server, so to better understand. Rest of all clients, I'll try to maintain a black color screen, just for our convenience. That's it. Okay. So, okay, now this is my Ansible management server. Okay. Okay. Okay, fine. Now what we'll try to do here, first, I'll try to install I'm trying to update on my EPL repository. But I hope all of you know what is EPL repository. It is a centralized federal repository. All the packages will be available. So that from there, I'm trying to install Ansible. Once that packages are updated, well, I'm trying to install you see that EPL is nothing but enterprise package like repository, Fedora package repository, where you could find all the packages. So you can easily install that. So it has nothing to do, it is already there. Okay. So let us install yum install Ansible. So when I say yum install Ansible, ideally it will go and connect to that EPL repository and get that package. See that it is dependent on Python, so it is installing the Python packages as well, right? So when I say yes, okay, it will try to install the Ansible. That's it, okay? The first step, the Ansible installation is almost done. Once the Ansible installation is done, we'll try to look at some of the config files. So what is the difference between that installing Ansible with yum and installing Ansible with pip? Both installs Ansible, but the difference is if I install yum install Ansible, it will try to install these files as well. It will try to create these files as well. If you're creating with a pip, it won't create these files. You have to create manually and you have to write all these things manually. So as a initial learners, okay, it would be a bit difficult to write all the create config files, especially Ansible.cfg. So I'll prefer to install with yum. Okay. So it is almost done. It is trying to install Ansible 2.4.2 version. That is the latest version is 2.x. Previously, okay, they used to have some 1.9 and all. Okay, done. Ansible installation is done. So once Ansible installation is done, if you look at, I'm trying to go into etc Ansible, right? If I go into the etc Ansible directory, you could see there is a two major configuration files are there. One is ansible.cfg, the other one is host file. The roles we'll try to discuss in a certain, okay, and whenever it is an appropriate time, I'll try to discuss that. As of now, you try to understand there is a two major configuration files are there. One is ansible.cfg and host. Okay, before going to understand that, what I'm trying to do is, I'm trying to say Ansible. Okay, we'll try to run something like Ansible version. So just I want to look at what is a version, okay, version of that particular Ansible we have installed. So if you don't know anything, okay, just let me say Ansible -v, or else you can say hyphen version. That is up to you, right? Oh, sorry, Ansible -v. Okay, just let me check what is the version we are using. Just a minute. Ansible hyphen version. These are all the different options it is showing. Just I want to look at the version details. That's it. Hyphen version. This is what I'm expecting. Okay. When I say Ansible hyphen version, okay, it is saying that you have installed Ansible 2.4.2 and the config file is etc ansible.cfg. This is one of the important one why I'm stressing is I'll try to explain you. Remember that it is showing my config file etc ansible.cfg. Just note it down. Have a note of this. Okay, why I am talking this. I'll try to come across this again. My config file is this particular one. Default. I can say default. Okay. Now, fine. Now, if you look at, there is a one more node. I hope it is started. Yes, it is started. Let us connect to that particular node as well. Okay, I have on a server. So, okay, we connected to the server with the username and password. So there is an option. You can connect the server without a password with the help of PEM file. So every user home directory, let us say there is okay, let us say there is a user called Vagrant. In the user called Vagrant home directories, let us say /home/Vagrant. If you look at, there is a folder called .ssh, right? Okay, if you want to connect with the PEM files, okay, you can create a hidden folder in his home directory .ssh. There you could see the authorized underscore key file. So if you update any key and locks, generally there will be a key lock. So like RSA and DSA keys, if you updated your public key in an authorized underscore key, with the help of private key, you can authenticate to that particular. With the help of that user, you can authenticate without any password, and you can log in. Right? Is that clear? So we'll try to establish that. Okay, let us say in our data center, we don't have any, okay, there are hundreds of servers. Now you don't have an option to, okay, copy that SSH keys to all the servers. Okay, fine. We'll try to see both the scenarios now. Okay. The first option in my PPT, what I have given is try to generate an SSH key. Try to generate an SSH key. Then copy that SSH public key into one of the user into a target server. So that from your Ansible management server to your target server without any password, you can connect to that particular server with the help of the user. So that once you have that trusted relationship without passwordless authentication, you can execute any Ansible module in that particular destination server, and you can manage that particular node. So as of now, I didn't pass any of my keys. But I want to manage it. In your environment, already there may be a number of servers you created long time back. You don't have any authentication. You know password, but now what is the first? Let us see what is the host name -f or else IP address. Okay, you want to get either IP address or host name. Now the IP address is something like 192.168.56.12. This is the one server I'm talking about. You can manage n number of machines. Okay. So if you look at the major configuration files, as I told you, there is etc Ansible. etc Ansible. If you look at, there is a ansible.cfg hosts. Let us look at first hosts. Vi hosts. If you look at hosts, guys, these are all the different servers you can manage. Let us say you can group them. Suppose let us say you have a web servers. You can group it with the help of this particular way. Okay, in a square basis, you can make it as a group. All the web servers you can update here. Either you can give IP address or hostname. That is up to you. You can use in a regular expressions as well, right? You can say I want to manage my www.001.2006.example.com. So instead of maintaining 6 lines, right, 001.example.com, 2.example.com, I could say this kind of a regular expression, right? And also you can say DB server, something like this. DB01, your entire fully qualified domain name. Or else if it is in this particular way. Okay, you can maintain like whatever you want. But make sure that you maintain a single truth file. What is meant by single truth file? Suppose you have given us something alpha.example.com, the same server you make. Okay, yeah, one more option is you can maintain your servers in n number of groups. I could say something like, I'll try to say here, okay, like base. I could say something I'm something group called base. In a base, I required all servers. Okay, so I want to maintain all the servers, irrespective of it may be web servers, it may be database servers, it may be whatever. I want to maintain all the things. So I could maintain the web server group instead of again these are all the servers, right? I could maintain web servers group. I could maintain something this. I could maintain something database, right? Web database and all you can maintain in a base. Base level, I try to install some antivirus or base cookbook, okay, base playbooks and all. So okay, I'll try to come across that again. Before going to that, let us look at the first 4 lines what they are trying to explain you. This is the default Ansible host file. It should be located in this particular etc Ansible host file. Generally, in this particular file, any line is starting with hash means that is commented out. So you can just for your understanding, for not for your config file. Blank lines you can ignore it. Wherever the blank lines are there, you can ignore it. Group of hosts are delimited by the header elements. That means if you want to have a group of servers, you can have a delimited with the particular header in a square basis. You can either enter host name or IP addresses. Either you can have a host name or IP address can be n number of groups or multiple groups. You can maintain that same kind of an IP into a multiple groups. Suppose I want to maintain a base group. Let us say I want to maintain a base group here. Here I try to maintain a server one, sorry. In a base group, I want to maintain a server one where I want to install an antivirus actually. Okay, just sorry guys. Okay, I could say something like here, escape O, suppose some server one. The same server one may be in a web server. That may be a web server, right? So your server can be a part of n number of groups. So there is no limit. But make sure that your server has a unique name in across all the file. That means one location you have given server one, another location you have given server one.mylab.local. Don't maintain that kind of an okay, maintain consistent name. I can say they call it as a single truth file. Okay, single truth entry you can say, right? Okay, so in this scenario, if you look at here, so whatever the entries I've given, I'm trying to remove. If you look at some of the servers are not belonging to any of the group, so individual IP address or server names also you can maintain it, right? So what I'll try to do, I'll try to create one group called web. I try to create a web rule called web, and I'll try to add one IP address of one of my node, whatever the node I want to manage. In a way, you can manage n number of servers, right? In a way, you can manage n number of servers. Some servers may be web, some servers may be DB, some whatever. Okay, let me minimize. Let me save this file. Now our basic inventory file is created. So let me show you the best way to address that any topic in Ansible. Just Google it as Ansible inventory file. Okay, don't go to Ansible document then search for any particular keyword. So why? Because it is a lot of pain you'll find. Okay, it would be very hectic thing if you want to go through the Ansible documentation. Better try to search in a Google and go to that particular point. Okay, so if you look at Ansible host understanding, so if you look at host and groups, there are given some examples. Let us address them again. So you have one server called mail.example.com that is not related to any of the group. There are some servers, these two related to the web, these three related to DB. There is a one cookbook, there is one scenario, I required all the servers, something I want to install in all the servers. So what I can do is, so, okay, if you look at here, what I'm trying to do, just a minute. Okay, here, if you look at here. So this is the way you can write. Just a minute, please. So, okay, just let me explain. So there is a question, can I manage multiple routers? Yeah, you can manage multiple routers, switches, whatever you want, you can manage it. Okay. So if you look at here, there is a something, some of my servers in Atlanta location, some of my servers in different region. But sometimes I can say, I want to manage something entire Southeast location. In a Southeast, I have two regions like Atlanta and Raleigh. At that time, I can say in a Southeast, there are children's. What are the children's? Atlanta and this one. In my scenario, I can say, okay, I have something like one client level, there is a web server and DB servers. If you want to manage entire client level, I can say client colon children and web and DB. Right? You can maintain in this particular way. The children's are this particular. Variables we'll try to discuss later point of time. As of now, we don't require that. If you look at USA children, the USA children are like, okay, you can add all those regions. Now where you want to install? Suppose you want to manage Southeast, you can maintain Southeast. If you want to maintain USA, it will try to execute on all these regions. Clear? Yeah, Santosh, tell me. Hi, good evening. So just joined. Okay, no problem. Just we started. Okay, just we started understanding Ansible. We didn't discuss, we didn't execute anything as of now. So uh, just we try to understand how can you manage, how to maintain the inventory file. That's it. Okay. So okay, if you want to manage, okay, if in my one of my city, let us say two hosts are there, some other city you have two hosts. If you want to maintain the entire region or entire, okay, you can maintain in this particular way, right? So, let us move forward. Remember, this is the children's concept. Okay, if you want to maintain n number of groups in a single row, you can use one name with a children. Okay. Okay. Now I have updated one IP address. This is one IP address I want to manage with Ansible that I updated in my etc Ansible pwd. Where I am etc Ansible. Which file I updated? Host file. etc Ansible host file. Here. Now, okay, fine. Okay, I try to update it that. Now what I'll try to do, I'm not generating any SSH keys and copy as of now. I'm not doing anything as of now. So, okay, what I'll try to do is, I updated my inventory file. You can update in this way also. You can give your alias name, and then actual Ansible host is this. Host name is this. This is an alias name. Don't get confused. To understand myself, I can say app-apache finance. That is my alias name. But actual name is appserver1.mysky.co. That is my domain name with server name. right? So there are two types of inventory files are there, static and dynamic. Dynamic inventory file in the sense, suppose Ansible, sorry, Amazon web servers are started somewhere around 10 servers. Automatically that based on load, it is started somewhere around 10 to 15 servers. You want to add the 10 to 15 servers into inventory file, you can say dynamic inventory. The static inventory is nothing but just updated manually, right? That we can call it the manual inventory. That is static inventory, right? Manual doing that. Okay, these are all fine. We'll try to run some of the ad hoc commands now. Yeah, static inventory file is nothing but if you are updating your own way. Okay, you are trying to update your server details in inventory file. Okay, let us say you want to manage somewhere around 100 servers. You are trying to update in a etc Ansible host file.